Hi, I'm Isaac, and we hiked the Inca Trail in January 2025. I'm 14 and have 3 siblings. Aaron is 16, Luke is 11, and Autumn is 10, and this was our experience. You cannot hike the Inca Trail without a guide. We decided to go with TreXperience, and I'm really glad we did. They were easy to work with, provided clear expectations, and were very professional. Our group was diverse, with people from Denmark, France, Spain, Australia, Argentina, and even India. We had an orientation meeting the night before, where they provided duffel bags for each person. Because of regulations protecting our porters, and because we opted to run air mattresses on top of the floor mats that were included, we were only allowed to pack 4 kilos, or 8.5 pounds per person. The rest we packed in our day packs. We packed as light as we possibly could, and ended up with a little room to spare. On day 1, our guides picked us up from the Airbnb at 4 a.m. They dropped our extra luggage to hold at the facility during the hike. And then we commenced a 2-hour ride to Ollantaytambo, where TreXperience is based out of. We had a nice breakfast at a local restaurant after an orientation at the visitor center, and then the border's checkpoint. We were on the trail just before 9 a.m. The trail on day 1 is a steady uphill for 8.7 miles. We stopped at about 12:30 for lunch. The food was a very good Peruvian cuisine prepared by incredible chefs. They were able to accommodate my mom's vegetarian gluten-free requests, and no one ever went hungry. My mom and sister were the last ones to come to camp for dinner that afternoon at almost 5:15. The tents were all set up by the porters when we got there. The next day, day 2, was going to be the hardest day. We woke up at 4:45, breakfast at 5:15, and were on the trail before 6 a.m. The day consisted of 4 hours uphill, 2 hours downhill, another 2 hours uphill, and finished with 2 hours down.
Okay, so today's day 2. It's actually really hard though. Something I do to keep my mind busy is I tell stories, counting my steps. Okay. Yes. I think I've figured out chapter 4. Oh goody. Okay. It's so hard. We've been walking for 4 hours.
Day 2 was tough. We got into camp just before 6 p.m., a 12-hour day. Day 3 was a bit easier. We got up at 6 a.m., and before we left, we got to know the porters a little bit. Most of them were from the surrounding villages and spoke Quechua as their native language. Every day, they would wait until we left, pack up camp, and get there several hours before us and to have food and tents all ready. All throughout the hike, we were passed by various porters, practically running with these enormous packs on their backs. It takes about 2 porters per hiker to carry all the tents and kitchen things necessary to keep them alive and happy. It had rained the night before, so the downhill was slippery and a lot harder than we thought. All throughout the hike, we had generous breaks where we would stop at ruins or rest points, and the guides would talk about various things. Earlier, we had learned how to make rope with grass along the trail. Day 3. Hiking ended at 1 p.m. After lunch, we walked 10 minutes to some amazing ruins. My other siblings opted out of this one, but I'm so glad that I went. Day 4 started at 3 a.m. We got up early so our porters could pack up and get down the mountain to catch the 5 a.m. train and home to their families. We waited in the dark at the checkpoint until 5:30 when they let us into Machu Picchu National Park. The hiking then consisted of about 1 hour and a half, mostly uphill, to the Sun Gate where we should have had an amazing view of Machu Picchu. We descended toward Machu Picchu for about 30 minutes, where we then waited for 2 hours for the fog to clear so we could get a classic photo.
And it cleared out for 5 seconds, right for us to take a picture, and then it cleared in.
It was pretty amazing to see the clouds swirl around the mountains and hear the crowd react when we got a good view. It was the rainy season, so I thought we were pretty lucky to have 3 days of almost no rain. It sprinkled occasionally, and it rained overnight once. It all caught up to us on day 4. It rained on and off all day, and visibility was low. All things considered, it was nice to have the dry days when we were hiking and see the views that no one else sees.
Yes, but some of them not really, because they just don't like walking very much. It's just like they like to stay at home and play video games.
You like to stay at home and play video games?
That's true, but I still did enjoy the hike somehow.
So I would recommend the 4-day hike for families with kids who are resilient, have good attitudes, and who are willing to try something new. My kids have not hiked more than 6 miles before, but they've done a lot of walking. We travel a lot, and they're willing to try new foods. They're willing to try new things. So you'll know your kids the best, but it also might help them find a strength in them that they never knew they had. It's definitely doable, but it's hard. So, yeah, hope that helped you make a good decision.